Show up to win. That's the name of Dwayne, my guest today's company. And showing up to win is something that I think we all should do. Everyone wants to win, right? So I am Lori McDowell, and I am here with this issue of Monday Mindset Mastery, and the topic is show up to win. My guest today is Dwayne Morton, and I met Dwayne about a month ago at an event, and I liked what he had to talk about, so I thought I'd invite him to be a guest on our show. So I'm going to let Dwayne introduce himself, tell us a little bit about his journey. So Dwayne, tell us a little bit about yourself, why you started Show Up to Win, and your journey.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say thanks to the listeners. Time is the most valuable commodity. So when anyone gives me their time, like I just want to show up with the most utmost gratitude and be able to say thank you. So definitely want to share that with the listeners. But then also, Lori, I want to thank you for allowing me to be on your platform and sharing my story. So I'm Dwayne. I am a former international basketball player. I am now a published author, an inspirational speaker, and a resilience coach. I also coach athletes in mental performance. And so how I got there is I was involved in a couple of incidents that have really had to push my resilience to its breaking point, which was a police shooting, which I was a bystander. That actually, the third anniversary just happened about a half a month ago. And then also in 2006, I was diagnosed with a blood cancer, and I found out on March 8th of 2024 that I was misdiagnosed with that blood cancer. And so
Oh,
I only had severe sleep apnea. And so something that could have been taken care of within probably a month or two ended up taking 18 and a half years of my life. And so that's how I built up show up to win. Um, show up to win to me is more than just like showing up in attendance. It's actually showing up with intention and presence.
I love that. Yeah, one of my morning plans every morning is to kind of set my intention. And I know everybody people I had a guest a couple weeks ago on where most people talk about they do stuff and then they get that, and then when they do all that they'll be happy. And we talked really about how no, you have to be happy or be satisfied or be fulfilled. And once you are that, and that's your intention, it's a lot easier to get the things you want. So I have to start, Dwayne, since you and I have only met on Zoom and social platforms, not in person. You played basketball. Are you tall?
So I'm 6'2". Um,
Okay.
I mean, I'm tall to the average normal person, but I'm not tall in basketball terms.
Okay, just had to get that out of the way because I love when you meet someone and you see them in a little square, and sometimes you meet them and they're like 6'6" or 5'4", and you're like, oh, I never knew you were. So, and I love that you work with athletes too. My son's a college baseball player, and I think the mental part is so much more important than I mean, the physical is important, but mental makes a difference between a good athlete and an amazing athlete. So I love that. Your stories are quite, I can see how resilience is really important. I think everyone's probably had some kind of an issue, although yours are quite devastating. Yeah, that an 18-year misdiagnosis. I'm going through that must have been horrible. Talk a little bit about, about resilience. And it seems like some people naturally have it, and other people fall apart at the slightest, negative turn. And can you tell us a little bit about your thoughts on that?
Yeah, feel like it was learned for me. And I can even go back to when I was 4 years old shooting a basketball. I shot at a full height basketball, 10 foot, with a man's basketball. So I had to heave it. It wasn't like I was shooting it. And so back then the nets were red, white, and blue. And so my first goal was just to hit the net, and then it was to hit these different colors, then hit the rim, and then eventually these things started going in, and it started becoming a lot more real to me. And so since I was 4 years old, that's all I wanted to do was play basketball.
So yeah, so having that goal really helps, I guess. So a lot of people, I think, they go through life without necessarily knowing where they're going or what they want, which is hard to be resilient when you really don't know. When you're like, okay, this didn't work,
Yeah.
I give
So
up.
sports is a cruel world. Like, you're talking about being a professional athlete, you're talking about probably less than 2% of the people who make it to college even make. So like when you start doing those numbers, I mean, for me, I wasn't a professional athlete. Like I went and played overseas, but like I, I actually came back with an agent after I played overseas. And then I hurt my knee. And so what the reason I'm saying this is like, it's a resilience journey. Sports brought that to me. I'm actually writing a book right now about basically everything that I needed to achieve in life I learned in Little League. Whether in basketball or baseball, that's the only sports I played. But I feel like those were really important steps, but they laid the foundation.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I have my book, The Reinvention Mindset. I have a whole chapter on my chapter called Believe, and it centers around sports and baseball players and my son's little league team when they won the state championship, and they weren't the most talented, but their coach convinced them they could win, and so they beat teams so much better. So I see that, and yeah, as I said, my son plays baseball, and the best baseball players in the world fail 70% of the time. So it definitely builds resilience. And I think all kids should start playing sports because it really helps them in life and helps them learn the struggle and learn to lose gratefully and learn from that. So you just released a book recently. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Yeah, the name of the book is called The Bounce Back Blueprint Become Bulletproof. And just to kind of give more context, is like the bullet when I went through the police shooting, it missed me. Like it hit the truck that I was driving. But clearly when on the cover, I have it where it's taken, and it's taking a center hit of a basketball. And, just to kind of give people, it was a way to explain, hey, it took a piece of my soul. It took a big part of my heart, and it made me even more resilient than I already was with the cancer diagnosis. Like it actually made me really think, okay, what is my purpose on this earth? Like there was just different levels of the onion being peeled back and like all these different layers. But when that happened, that actually gave me a chance to really be like, what I want. I mean, in that aspect, I'll just go ahead and tell you, Lori, I felt like I was just waiting to die. That was what I was pretty much. When I was diagnosed in 2006, they originally gave me 5 years, then they gave me 15. And so I was past that 15-year mark when that shooting happened. And I was like, okay, hold on. Like, what is my purpose? And so that's when I started kind of getting back in a little bit of personal development, but I was dealing with survivor's guilt and PTSD so bad. And so what the book is about the things that I used to get through the things that I was going through at those times during the diagnosis, during the misdiagnosis, during the shooting. And so that's the thing is like, I felt like that was the book that I needed to put out first before I go into like sharing my story and those type of things and sharing different stories. But like, that's the book I feel like can help a ton of people and just explain, hey, these things can happen, whether you don't have to go through what I did, the misdiagnosis, the diagnosis, the shooting, but like we just need to know and identify, hey, this is my mountain and how do we go through it? And this book is able to do that.
I love that. I'll have to read your book. Your book and my book sound like they have a lot in common. I wrote my book right after being fired from a job in a really horrible fashion. And the book for me was my journey to like, well, why did this happen? And how do I overcome it? And why are so many other people able to reinvent themselves and others aren't? So I'm looking forward to reading your book. You mentioned it's got some tips in it that you use to get through. Can you share one or two of them for people who may be facing something, something that they don't think they're going to make it through?
Yeah, and so it's actually something that they can get. There's a PDF that I have incorporated on the showuptowin.com website. So you just put in your information, you're going to get this PDF. But this is Dwayne's daily plan of attack. So it's my daily routine. First thing that I do in the morning is gratitude. I thank God for giving me that day. There's so many people that do not get that. And so I wanted to make sure that I start my day off just in gratitude. So we have that. So that's step one. Step two is going to be movement. The thing is if you're thinking about the past all the time, and if you take a runner's mentality approach, which I believe is the best way to explain all this stuff, I'm not going to go very far and I'm not going to go very fast if I'm looking backwards. So when you start concentrating on the past, it's really difficult to go very far, but also it's easy to get off direction if you're staring at the past.
Mm.
Same thing with the future. If I'm just staring at the destination and I'm going to get anxious also. And so in the past you're going to get depressed. So when you stare at the destination, you're going to get off track, out of direction because you're just staring at it, and you're also going to miss so many different things. Um, and so really the secret sauce is that presence. And so, they say all the time, the present is the gift. So you want to concentrate on that 15, 20 feet. And just to give a little bit more context, if I pick up something really heavy and I look where the destination is, that box or whatever I'm moving is extremely heavy. But if I just concentrate on my steps, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, I'm usually there before I'm like, oh yeah, this wasn't that bad. And so the number 3 step is going to be that movement. The number 4 step is going to be adaptability. I'm sorry, I skipped a step. Number 2, self-care. Self-care is actually before movement. So self-care, and self-care is however you do it. I stretch in my bed before I get up. Played a lot of basketball. Just want to make sure I take care of my body. Number 4 step is going to be adaptability. Adaptability is just, hey, when you see an obstacle, there's a way that you can possibly move all the way and completely miss it. Or, if you hit the obstacle, instead of going and hitting a direct hit, you're actually just moving over just a little bit. So I like to call them potholes. Like if you're driving a car and you hit those, like more times out of 10, you're going to have issues with your vehicle, or you're going to have to either probably get a alignment issue at tire alignment at some point. So that's really why I base it on these 4 things. So it's going to be gratitude, self-care, movement, adaptability. I feel like if you're able to do those 4 things in a day, you're way better off than a lot of other people.
I love that. Yeah. I start with gratitude every day as well. And those are great 4 things. You mentioned, I love a couple of things you mentioned. You talked about the runner's mindset. And I never really thought about that before, but I know I've run, and it's funny because just those experience, I can remember running a 5K one time, and I was like almost at the end, and I'm looking at the finish line. I'm looking at the thing. And while I'm looking at the finish line, I tripped over something, a bump on the sidewalk fell, and you never just thinking about that way. If you don't pay attention to where you are, if you're looking behind or looking too forward, you're gonna fall, or you're gonna miss something, or you're gonna get hurt. I love that. And I love that example with the box too, because it's true. When when you take things one step at a time, you get so far, and you're there before you know it. But when you're thinking about, oh my God, it applies to life, it applies to money. A lot of, business entrepreneurs go through financial struggles, and they just keep thinking, oh my God, I can't, how am I going to pay those bills in the future? And it's like, well, stop looking at the future and look at today and just make more money, or just, but when you look at that future, you can't ignore the future, but don't look so far ahead, because you don't know what the future is going to come. And I love the adaptability too, because I kept just picturing a road with a big rock in front of it. And so many people, either they drive into the rock, or they sit there and they try to climb over the rock. And it's like, if you just turned a little bit, you can avoid the rock completely. But people, instead they head on into that rock and spend all their time trying to climb it. So I love that. Those are great analogies that really made it clear. So tell us a little bit. I know you have the book and you have the website. How do you work with people? Do you do one-on-one coaching? Do you have group programs? Tell us a little bit about what you offer to people.
Well, right now I am just only working with one-on-one. I am getting ready to drop a community. I've been working on this for a while, and I just wanted to make sure I had the right steps. I didn't want to just build the community and just be like, okay, and then have to rebuild. I wanted to kind of build and then be like, okay, I don't like this step. Let's go back and fix it before I actually fully release it. But I feel like it's very important to have a community-driven event, especially when you're talking about resilience, because you need that community to support themselves. And when I say support themselves, like support each other. So It's not just about me. It's not about me building it. It's about it being our community. It's about us being a part of a team. Sometimes you can have a leader, but they always look for the leader. I don't want that. I want them to understand that like we're an army to ourselves. Okay, if I'm the point man, that's great, but like there's going to be times that I'm going to be speaking and stuff, and these other people are going to need, you know, assistance. And so what I'm doing is I'm building this program to have that in place. Take a few minutes, have a couple of group sessions a week, but have us each support each other. And so I think that the other part of this is I'm building a community to keep me consistent. And I think that's what a lot of people won't say when they build a community. I'm just going to head and just be transparent. I want to be consistent. So I want the community to help me stay consistent and support me to be consistent. And as the same thing, I want them to be consistent. So then they have me to look at to be consistent, and they have the other people to look at each other. And that's what I feel like we're building with our community.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, having a community makes a huge difference. Just someone, even just knowing that other people are facing the same thing, other people are going through things, and you see the people on different spots on their journey, some that have, accepted it and gotten through it, some that are at the beginning, some that are in the middle, but just knowing other people, knowing that you're not alone is just really, really valuable.
Right. So one of the other things is this is the thing that I was looking for when I was going through being diagnosed. Like I'm building this because I know there's a need. When I looked for assistance and help through that whole process, like I couldn't find any. And so this is why I'm building it the way I'm building it. It was like, hey, this is what I was looking for. I know that it would have not only helped me, would help others. And so I think that's one of the most important things is like I'm building this through experience too.
Mm-hmm. So regarding your community and even your programs, I know you said you do like mental toughness training for athlete. What type of person would be someone who would, be your ideal person to join the community? So tell us a little bit so the audience, if they see themselves here, they know to reach out.
Yeah. So, my ideal client is an athlete or ex-athlete, right? But I'm looking for the ones that, if they're ex-athletes, have that fire that is, out. And so my job is to relight that. And so there's a great analogy with a lighter. So if you take a lighter and you dump it in water, you're not able to flick it and turn back on the flame by yourself. But you can push the button and have someone with a flame to come over and then relight it. And so that's my job, is to relight these people's their inner fire. So I have that aspect of it. I feel also like I'm a self advocacy for and a self advocate for medical issues. So I'm looking for people who have been diagnosed, misdiagnosed. I think that's very important to me, is like to take care of our health, but also to be able to say, hey, I'm not sure I want to trust everyone in the medical community. I want to make sure I get get the answers that I'm looking for, to know what I'm facing, those type of things. And so that's going to be part of the community too. So the other thing is like, I'm also a business leader. I'm in Jim Rohn's mentor tree, Lori. So Jim mentored my mentor, Melvin Turner Sr., and Melvin Turner Sr. mentored Jim Rohn in public speaking. So I'm in some rarefied air in that part. I've taken the sports psychology and the stuff that I've applied in sports, and I'm applying it and marrying it all into this one package.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah. So you talked about athletes and future athletes. Do you have an age? I mean, do you work with college athletes? Do you work with high school? Do you work with professional, or is it all of them?
So there's two different aspects. There's the show up to win, which is the community part. That's what would be the ex-athletes. The mental performance part right now is I have two kids right now who are D1, like high D1 people. And then I have a couple of high school players that are, sophomores, juniors. And then I have a guy who is in the golf space, and he's about to turn pro. So I have some different aspects. And, I'm also trying to get myself into the MMA world. So I have this lady who doesn't live very far from me right now, who she just turned professional in MMA. And so, but you know, and that's the thing is like mental performance can be completely, the sport doesn't really matter as much as it matters about the tools, the toolkit, and how to use it.
Yeah, and I think even, like I said, in business, I know a couple of women entrepreneurs who are former LPGA professionals, former basketball players, some men. I know a lot of former football players who now run their own businesses. I think the sport and the business, it's really a lot of the mindset, and that, in it to win it is part of it, because you have to, the belief in yourself and the fact that it's hard and you can do it anyway really is what running a business is about. And I think for me, it's really what life is about. Like life can be amazing, but it doesn't mean it's easy. Actually, an easy life is usually not as much, or not easy, but you have to work. You have to know that there are going to be hard things, and when you overcome them, it's so fulfilling that's really when you get the joy. So I think, what you apply to sports mindset, you can apply to business mindset, and you can really apply to life mindset as well.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, the what I'd like to add on with the business part is when we used to have newspapers, that would be one of the top things that they were looking for business people. Were like, hey, I'm looking for a sports minded person, because they knew that we had that self discipline part. Like that's the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is when you play athletics, there's a self discipline part that the common person usually doesn't have. And so
mm,
that was one of the things where I'm like, oh, like the self discipline part, I have no problem waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and doing, those type of things. Cause the, there's those habits already, those healthy habits that are already built. So you can just kind of build upon them. Um, for me, it's like I enjoy all aspects of the mental performance part. I enjoy the mindset part. I've always enjoyed it. I taught myself visualization as a junior in high school. I didn't know how. I actually learned it in middle school and didn't even realize what it was until my junior year in high school.
mm.
And I did it through a keyboarding class, like just visualizing typing and visualizing it as it was scrolling through the TV. And like I was just like, oh, why am I a really good typer? Well, that's the reason why. And so that's the thing is these things I learned while I was in the forge. Like it wasn't just like, hey, I learned this from a book. No, I actually learned this while the sword was in the forge and was being heated up.
Yeah, no, I think we learn a lot more when we're experiencing something, because then you're not just getting it consciously, but you're getting it subconsciously, you're getting it physically, you're really getting it in there. So, Dwayne, if someone wants to get your book, where would they find your book?
Yeah. So right now it's only on Amazon. You can just type in the bounce back blueprint, become bulletproof, and you'll see that. I mean, just to let you know, is like the being a published author was something that I wanted to do as a kid, like an 8-year-old kid. So when I was able to do that, also I released it on the 3rd anniversary of the shooting. So I
Uh,
wanted to take my power back from the day, and I was like, how can I do this? This book wasn't supposed to release until the end of June, mid July, and we pushed it up that much because the date meant more to me than actually to market it. So like I don't have marketing behind it. There's not podcasts that are talking about it. Like none of that was already set up. I was so busy trying to get this book out to get it out on May 16th. And so I wanted it to take my power back, but also instead of every May 16th, it would, instead of it being, oh, well, this is the blah, blah, blah anniversary of the shooting. No, this is the blah, blah, blah anniversary of I have become a published author.
oh, I love that. It's amazing. Yeah, I did, my books just had a year anniversary, so I celebrated the birthday to my book, which is kind of fun.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. And you have plenty of time to market, because I think this, getting the book out there really is a big accomplishment, because there are so many people who say, I want to be a published author, and very few actually do it. So just doing it is actually, amazing. And now you can market for the rest of,
The
the
other thing
marketing
is like the day I released it, it hit the top 20. Like,
that's
and so in my category, and I was like, I can't believe I didn't realize I had that type of support, but that's what I have. And when you're able to to me, it just solidified the support I had, but also gave me that extra push that I was needing to, I've only been healthy a year and like a month. So, I'm doing all this and I'm compacted time as much as possible, in my opinion. But the true transformation is insane to me, even me. But I have so many people that like message me all the time. You're such an inspiration. I just want you to know, like, I was struggling with this, and thank you. Like, I watched one of your videos, and so that is what is important to me. The most important thing is I'm creating an impact. I'm creating not only an impact, I'm inspiring people that I don't even get to touch. That's the other thing.
That is an inspiration, and congratulations on being healthy. I'm so happy that someone figured out what was actually wrong and was able to do it. I can't imagine going that many years and then finding out that, I've heard stories of that before, and that's just horrible that it had to come from that. But I'm sure you gained a lot of resilience and gained a lot of lessons. So not sure you choose it, but at least it sounds like you've really gotten a lot of learnings from it.
So I was asked this on a podcast. They said if you could take a blue pill and go back, or you take the red pill and stay here, I'm like, I would stay here. I learned so much about myself, but what I realized was the old Dwayne was scared. I was full of fear. I'm not full of fear anymore. Like, I'm if you put me in front of an audience of 10,000 people on a stage, like, I'm just going to be like, hey, this is what was chosen for me, not what I choose. But like, that's it. Like, I'm going to show up every time and do what I need to do to create that impact. And if all the people besides one person boos me off the stage, but that I changed that one person's life, then it's worth it. And when you're able to say that and actually really mean it, that's really the secret. I feel like that is the secret.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you've inspired me, so I love hearing this story. Um, if someone wants to reach out to you to potentially join your community or even to be, get some coaching as an athlete, how would they reach you, Dwayne?
Yeah, so it's going to be, Facebook is probably the number one place for me, but also Show Up to Win with the number two is my IG. That would be the other ideal part. And then you can go to DwayneMorton.com, and there's my email address, and it's dmorton at showuptowin.com.
Okay, so those are all ways to reach Dwayne. If you've been inspired by him like I have, or you just want to talk or want to join his community, which sounds amazing, reach out to Dwayne. His book is on Amazon. I'm going to go look at it, so I think you should all try to read it. It sounds like there's an amazing story in there. You know, I've not been that close to a bullet, but being in a place where a shooting happened is a terrifying event, and I can imagine when a bullet hits your car, that really has to have a big impact. And
There's even a little bit more context. Is like, if that bullet would have been an eighth of an inch to the left, it kills me. An eighth of an inch to the right, it hits my 3-year-old niece in the back seat. So that was the other part of this. This was not just like, and I'm driving 45 mile an hour down the road. So, that's the thing is like, I don't know what the chances are. It's probably a lot to one, but lucky for me that day, a miracle was done, but also it's able to inspire a bunch of people.
Yeah, I think at that point, you were told that you had a purpose, that your time here meant something. I had an experience years ago when I was in college where I was driving in a rainstorm up in North Jersey on the New Jersey Turnpike and hit a puddle. And I did a complete 360 on a crowded Friday night in the middle of rush hour and went across 4 lanes of traffic on the New Jersey Turnpike, and somehow ended up facing forward on the right shoulder, clearing 4 lanes of rush hour traffic, didn't hit another car, no other cars hit each other, no accident, and as I saw my life and thought I was going to be dead or something and praying, like, please don't let me die, I realized when I was done that, I have some purpose. I don't know what it is, but there's a purpose here, because there's no way I should have survived that, that experience. So I think.
Right. So how did that make you feel? Like, I mean, honestly, like how did that make you feel?
At first I mean, terrifying, like, oh my God, I could have just died. And then it was grateful. It was it was inspiring. It was like somebody's got my back. I'm meant for something more, and it maybe took me a little too long to figure out what it was, but my whole life I remembered that, and I knew that there was always somebody, somebody had my back, and I had a purpose, and I was here for a reason, and I could do anything if I made that. So
The amount of gratitude that's through these near death experiences, and I've been talking to a lot of people in near death experiences, is like they're like, that's the trampoline. They're like, that's the trampoline that I needed. And so for me, the shooting was one trampoline, but then when I got healthy, when I was told, hey, you can be healthy, that was the other trampoline that's created this like bigger impact for me.
yeah, gratitude is a trampoline. Yeah, gratitude is so powerful, and just you know, being grateful. I mean, we can be grateful for so much if we just look at it. Every morning I'm just grateful to be alive. That's the first thing I'm grateful for. I mean, because I don't have to be. I woke up today, and so this has been so inspiring, Dwayne. As we're getting to the end of the time, I want to ask you if there's, if you'd like to leave the audience with one or two thoughts, something that they can take home with them. What would you like to share?
Yeah. So the first thing would be just to begin whatever you're looking forward to doing, or like if you keep putting it off to tomorrow, like probably is not going to be tomorrow. It'll probably be 2 weeks, maybe 2 months, or maybe never. And so the very first thing I would tell you is just to begin. The other part I would tell you to is there's two other things that go with begin, and that's either to get a plan and then get a mentor, or get a mentor and have them help you with the plan. And I'll go ahead and tell you the easier one is to get that mentor first and then get your plan. And so you're just going to be more successful. You're going to swerve that obstacle with the adaptability part that I talk about, and you're going to actually miss a lot of things that this mentor is going to be able to tell you because he has experience.
Oh, great advice. I love that. Yeah. Having someone doing it alone just never really works. So having someone who's walked that path before you or give you advice, or, one of my favorite quotes is, you can't read the label from inside the jar. So having someone to help you is so important. Well, Dwayne, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope everyone in the audience got as much out of it as I did. Reach out to Dwayne, go to his website, get his book. If you're interested in his community that's coming, um, go to his website, or check him out on Facebook, connect with him on Facebook. I think he clearly an inspiration, has been through a lot, and is showing his resilience. So that has been this issue of Monday Mindset Mastery. Next Monday, we will have Jason Munson speaking with us. Jason's going to talk a little bit about mindset and the actual brain, and the neural pathways that help you build a resilient mindset and change your mindset. So we're going to get a little bit more into the actual science of it as well. So thank you so much. Have a fantastic week. Thank you, Dwayne. And I will see you all next Monday at 11 o'clock Central Time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Lori.